I had to take him out of the movie theater. He was just too terrified for him.
So you thought it was too violent.
Way too violent.
What age do you think is appropriate for viewing Jurassic Park?
I think anywhere over 10 or 11. I think 8 years old, I really made a mistake by bringing him into the theater, I thought.
Okay, thank you so much for your call, California. We really appreciate it. We're talking about the film Jurassic Park. Is it suitable for young kids? Tell us what you think. We'll take your calls after this break.
Do you know which 200 stocks in here have raised dividends every...
Jurassic Park, is it suitable for young kids? The studio says it's inappropriate for young kids, but the merchandise is marketed towards young people. Tell us what you think. Our first call is from Georgia. Caller?
Yes. I took my 3 children there. They're 10 to 14. There were several who were much younger there. My children and the ones that I overheard in the lobby on the way out were more impressed with the reality of dinosaurs than anything else. They see this much violence on regular television. And I think all kids like to have what's in, so I see no problem with merchandising.
So even though it's a violent movie, do you think kids may learn history, may have a history lesson from this?
Somewhat, and also I think people underestimate their children. Children recognize the difference between reality and fantasy.
Even kids under 8 years old?
I believe so. If their parents have done any kind of job of explaining what you see on TV and movies is usually not real.
Okay, caller, thank you so much. We appreciate your comments. Our next call is from California. Caller?
Yes, I just wanted to comment on the movie. I saw it twice with 2 different children, and one was 9 and one was 12. And I think they were more afraid of the way people were acting, trying to get into the movies. Arguing and the parking situations. I went to the Cineplex Odeon in Universal City, and it was just unbelievable. And during the movie, the kids, I think they were very sophisticated. They understand it's all special effects. I mean, they love dinosaurs, but I mean, they weren't scared at all.
But what about some of the violence? You see people getting eaten, you see severed limbs.
Well, I think children understand that dinosaurs are extinct. You know, they're very sophisticated, and they see it as just a movie. I think video games are more realistic now than this motion picture was. And by the way, I think the movie was highly overrated.
Okay, thank you so much for your call. Our next caller is from Oregon. Caller? Hello, caller?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, this is Jamel, and I feel that this has got to be the best movie I've ever seen. In fact, it is probably it has probably the best special effects of anything that I could ever hope for. I just saw it today. There were some young kids there, but they seem to do okay. But if kids are young and if they're sensitive, then by all means don't take them. I would also say if you're of the persuasion of being extremely the faint of heart, then see it, but don't see it alone. Bring a friend. I can tell anyone that goes to see this movie, they are going to definitely get their money's worth. And if you miss this flick, then you've really missed something big. I looked around. You don't see in the theater any of the normal chit chat. It is really just dynamite, riveting to your seat. And I will say it's not nearly as violent as people have been saying. It is extremely suspenseful because it's so well made.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate your call. We're talking about the film Jurassic Park. We'll take your calls when we come back.
You know what this is?
Athlete's foot grows beneath the surface of your skin, so that's where you have to get to cure it. Mycotin is specially formulated to penetrate the skin surface with myconazole and kill the annoying fungus right where it starts. Mycotin penetrates, Mycotin cures.
I knew something must be wrong. I was getting these sharp pains, and sometimes pressure and bloating. I'm glad I asked my doctor. He said it was gas and recommended Mylanta gas.
Mylanta gas. It has the best medicine for gas.
Every Monday, there's a heat wave. Every Tuesday, it snows. And the rest of the week doesn't get any better. Testing the reliability of Trane air conditioners takes 16 miserable weeks. But when it's helping to make them some of the most durable air conditioners on Earth, you don't mind the sudden changes in weather. Designed, tested, and manufactured.
Standbys like toys and lunch boxes. For the bedroom, there are PJs, pillowcases, and sleeping bags. Kids who wear their hearts on their sleeves can slap on temporary tattoos. They can fill up on Jurassic Park cereal or cover up with a mask of their favorite dinosaur. And if that's not enough, there are jawbreakers, stopwatches, and underwear. You'll also be able to get walkie-talkies, 3D books, and for the artistic set, paint by number set. And gummy bears just might be replaced by gummy dinosaurs. Dinosaurs will be taking a big bite out of a lot of budgets this summer. What do you think? Give us a call. Let's take our first caller, California. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, hi. I definitely have to agree with the gentleman from California, the first gentleman from California called. It's an excellent movie for adults, but the special effects industry have gotten to the point where they can pretty much do anything for the two-dimensional medium, and I think with this power comes a certain amount of responsibility that's not being shown. Again, it's an excellent film for adults. It's wonderful. I'm a film major, and I studied it for 4 years, and I myself, even though I know how they do some of these things, I was amazed.
Okay, but what about all the merchandise being aimed at children? If it's an excellent film for adults, but some say it's too violent for kids, but all the merchandise is being aimed at young children. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, exactly. This is where I think Mr. Spielberg made a very big mistake. And most of his films, I think he's been careful about it, but he doesn't consider the PG-13 rating to be strong enough, or he considers it actually to be a strong enough barrier to keep smaller kids away. And I really don't agree that parents or the people who own the movie theaters think that it's a good enough. I think they do agree that it's going to keep kids away when, I don't know, I really don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of kids can already get into R-rated films, and I just don't agree with that.
Now, Spielberg is quoted as saying he won't allow his 4 kids, which are under 8, to see the film, but yet he's marketing the merchandise toward young kids.
I think, yeah. I think that's perhaps the thing that makes me the most angry, because it's sort of a way for him to escape any kind of criticism just by him saying that, and Mr. Crichton maybe saying that his kids wouldn't see it or young kids shouldn't see it when they know full well that all this marketing that they've signed all the licenses for it and everything, it's going to go towards very young children, and I think it would be kind of naive to say that they're not going to go see it.
Okay, thank you for your call. Let's go to our next caller, Ohio.
Yes, I'm from Dayton, Ohio. I am a former teacher, and I think children have got more sense, really, than the grown-ups. They know the difference between real and what's not real. Children are scared. We grew up, we had all kind of crazy things. We had radio programs, and I think these psychiatrists, they try to set what the parents should do. Parents need to get back to basics and teach their children the real. It's a scary world out there.
Okay, thank you so much for your calls. We'll come back after this break. We'll take your thoughts on the film Jurassic Park.
These are the tools of modern business, tools that provide today's most valuable business commodity, information. The one tool providing the most complete source of information is CNN. CNN covers the world's business like no other.
Jurassic Park. Many say it's too violent for young people, but all the merchandise is being marketed toward young people. California, tell us what you think.
I think that it's good that children know about dinosaurs, and I don't think that the movie's too violent. I think it's just a little scary. So I think the best thing for parents to do is maybe go see the movie themselves first and judge for themselves, because every child's going to have a different reaction to this movie.
Okay, thank you, caller. Our next call is from Oregon.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, about the movie?
Yes. Tell us what you think.
I thought it was wonderful. We took our children to see it, and I thought it was wonderful.
So you don't think it's inappropriate for most young children?
Well, I do for children under probably 11, because when my children were young, they were scared of dinosaurs. But as far as the merchandising, they always like to have things. I don't think it's associated with a movie or anything. They like books on dinosaurs, and so I don't think that, I think it's great if he makes money off of stuff like that.
Now, some movie executives say that this will probably top Batman's retail sales. Tell us what you think.
Well, I think it's great. I think that it's a business, and they're in. I think he's one of the greatest entertainers around, and I think that he should make money. That's what he's in the business for.
Okay, thank you, caller. Let's go to our next call. Caller, where are you calling from?
From San Francisco, California.
Okay, tell us what you think.
Well, I think it's a very responsibly made film. I don't think it lingers over the violent images. I think the violence is more implied, but I don't think it's being responsibly marketed, because I think it really is too intense for children.
So what do you think exactly are the responsibility for Spielberg and the 100 licensees who are marketing the merchandise aimed at young children?
Well, I think Spielberg as a filmmaker was very responsible in the way he made the film. Again, it's the way it's being marketed, and I think they do bear a responsibility for this, but particularly if the studio is saying, no, it's not really, we didn't aim this for young children, and yet they very clearly are marketing in that way, particularly when you see the things like at McDonald's and everything that are clearly aimed at getting really young kids to want to see this film.
Okay, thank you, caller. Wyoming? Caller?
Pam?
Caller?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. My husband and I and my 12-year-old son went to see it this past weekend, and we really enjoyed it. We thought it was great. But my husband and I both agreed that maybe under 8 or 9 it would be too graphic for some children, depending on the child.
But the marketing is aimed at young children.
Well,
what do you think about that?
I think that starts at home. I think the parents have to explain to children and kind of help them decide whether or not they should be buying this stuff, whether they know what it's about or not.
Okay, thank you so much for your calls. Next caller? Caller, where are you calling from?
Atlanta.
Okay, tell us what you think.
I've seen the film twice, and I really enjoyed it. I think there are a couple of things at work here. First of all, there's a lot of talk about is Spielberg responsible and the toy tie-ins and all that. Two different people are responsible for the toys and for the film. I mean, Spielberg has an artistic responsibility to make the film he wanted to make. Michael Crichton wrote an excellent book, and the book was definitely more violent than the film. And the film, even according to early reports when it was being produced, said that it was being toned down constantly because they were expecting a lot of kids to express interest in seeing it. I think it could have been much, much, much more violent. The big difference between this and films I think a lot of kids want to see, for example, the appeal Arnold Schwarzenegger has to children, and yet he makes so many films where it's actually realistic violence that kids could see every day, one person attacking another. This is a film about something that couldn't possibly happen, or it could happen, but possibly down the line. It's not the kind of thing the kids are going to see on the street or going to see on the news.
Okay, thank you so much for your call, sir. And we thank you all for your comments. But that's our program for this morning. Thanks for watching and calling.
Because of Zoe Baird and the no Social Security payments for domestics problem.
Well, it certainly looks that way. It looks like the president is making the safe decision. It looks like what usually happens with the president on a tough choice is he waits a little while and he sees what the public response is, which has two problems. The first one, and the most important one, is that means that people can push him around. If you don't like one of his choices, you call a press conference and the president backs off. So I think it's dramatically unfair to the people that are being considered in this way. And while I think that Judge Ginsburg is probably a better choice than, for example, Secretary Babbitt, I think the president owed these people a little more respect.
To Barbara, was Mr. Clinton a little premature in caving, if that is what happened on Judge Breyer, and that you were hearing still from Republicans and Democrats on the Hill that they were not that concerned about his failure to pay Social Security taxes on that housekeeper that he'd hired.
Well, he must have been listening to me or reading my thoughts, because I thought it was a double standard. You know, if Breyer was going to get by and Wood and Zoe Baird had not, I would have seen it that way. I actually think this is a braver choice than Breyer. I mean, the word a few days ago was he was going for Breyer because he was so cautious and he wanted somebody to appease the Republicans too. Breyer was popular with them. That's why there were going to be no more women, no more African Americans nominated. I'm delighted. I just found this out right now, and I think it's great. And I think this is the kind of thing I was hoping for from Bill Clinton when I voted for him months ago.
So you think he sidestepped the double standard question?
Yes, and I think he did not take the super cautious route, which would be to nominate a sort of centrist white male, that he did go for some diversity on Supreme Court, which we badly need.
I wonder, Kathy, whether you think he may also, with this nomination, appease some of those women's groups who were very unhappy about the treatment, especially, I think, of Kimba Wood, then, of course, about the Lani Guinier nomination being pulled precipitously. Does he make points with at least some of the groups who were upset about those nominations?
Well, of course, we'll know better as the day evolves and we get reaction from these various groups, but I would think probably he would. I mean, from a constituency satisfaction viewpoint, Judge Ginsburg is a twofer. She is Jewish, and the president had indicated that he wanted to appoint a Jewish justice. We have not had one since Abe Fortas left the court in, I believe it was '64. And of course, she's a woman. And I think right now the president is having a little bit of difficulty with his women constituent groups. There's even some concern that among some of these groups that he may waffle a little bit when it comes to including abortion on the health care package. So I think he needed to do something, or it probably will be reassuring, and that will help him politically.
Do you think it's been handled very gracefully, though? The very, very loud talk from the White House about Babbitt and Breyer, and both these guys sort of held out to dry in public.
Well, I have to agree with what Amy said. I think this is a White House that at this point is operating by trial balloon. We're seeing this not only in terms of nominations, but we're also seeing it on the budget. The president has floated a tax on BTUs, and when that didn't fly in the Senate, and I think probably for good political reason, he had to pull that. But he's not gotten behind any one proposal, and it looks like he's waiting for support to gel before he makes up his mind which way he wants to go. And I agree with Amy. I think it does make him, leave him open to being pushed around.
I want to leap in here. Our busy little fact checker says that Abe Fortas left the High Court in '69. We don't want to miss that. Thanks to our little fact checker who's back there working hard. I want to know if any of you think that this is a nomination that's going to encounter any troubles in Congress before the Senate. Or do we know enough yet about Judge Ginsburg? Amy?
We don't know enough right now. I think the first thing that we should do is take a hard look at Judge Ginsburg. There isn't any news yet that causes people to be extremely concerned about her. The fact that she's not apparently an extremist is good news. But it took the president 12 weeks to make a choice here, and I think that it's very important for us to have equal time. The Senate is not going to have the opportunity to take a hard look at her before they go into recess. So let's take a hard look at her, and if she's great, then wonderful.
Does anyone, and we'll go to Barbara on this one, think it's surprising that that lengthy time period was involved? We have a Supreme Court with several folks who are of great age. Byron White was not a surprise as a retiree. Wouldn't you think they'd have a list of folks they'd already done at least some tentative vetting on, sitting in the wings?
Well, this is a mystery about Clinton in general, that he's been very slow filling appointments in the diplomatic service, within the federal government at all levels. I don't know what the problem is, but he should have hit the ground running a lot faster and sort of staffed, been ready to staff the government at all levels.
You said you were very pleased, Barbara, about the nomination, at least as far as you know about it. Now, what do you know about Judge Ginsburg?
Nothing except what you've told me, Mary.
I assume we will see her in the Rose Garden today along with the president. Does he come out of this with any wounds from interior people who were distressed at the thought of pulling Bruce Babbitt out, or from any constituents of Breyer's up in Boston? Is there any downside to the way
I don't
it's been
think
handled?
so. I mean, I don't think that should really be a big deal. This is a big decision, Supreme Court justice. And if he took his time, that's fine. I just don't think that should be the issue. I agree with the other two women on today that we have to start looking at Ginsburg now.
Does anyone, and we'll pitch this one to Kathy, think that all of the nominations we've seen in the legal system, Kemba Wood, Zoe Baird, now Breyer, cry out for some sort of attention for the country's Social Security laws? I find it incredible that a guy sitting on the bench says, oh, we were supposed to pay Social Security to an elderly woman who was already receiving benefits. I knew that.
Yeah, I think maybe one of the happy fallouts, let's hope, will be that people will be more informed about the Social Security laws. But speaking, Mary, as a citizen and not as a reporter here, I find it surprising that people who, not being even, take away the legal expert aspect of this, but you know, I think most of us feel there's an equity issue involved here. I mean, I am employed, my employer pays my Social Security, I expect somebody to pay into a fund for my retirement, so therefore I figure I ought to do the same thing for someone who works in my home. And so I wonder if this isn't a problem, not just when you have legal experts who ought to know the law, but it's just a basic equity issue. And I think when people don't make those payments, it indicates that there's some sort of a second-class citizenship, an attitude that, well, these people aren't the same as me, and I think that's what offends people.
Mightn't it also betray some problems with the Social Security law? I don't know what happened in the case of Judge Breyer, but I think it conceivable if you have a Social Security recipient, that elderly woman would say to him, please don't report this because then I get docked, which is how the system has worked. Amy's nodding her head.
Well, basically, there's too many laws in this country, and there's an awful lot of people who are probably intimidated, and of course, Judge Breyer shouldn't have been one of them, being in the legal profession and all, but there's just way too many regulations. We've got to get to the point where it's possible for a human being to understand how they can stick to the laws without having to get a PhD in it. So
well, I don't see it that way at all, though.
You don't think we have too many laws in this country?
This whole process gives many of us, like myself, a glimpse into how the wealthy live. People like Zoe Baird making $500,000 a year, $700,000 for the whole family. And what we see is all these people who are very wealthy have servants, and that they pinch pennies on paying those servants. And I think that's kind of interesting. This doesn't reflect on Clinton or the administration. It just says something about how much more polarized we are as a nation, that we have real extremes of wealth and poverty, and that the people who are wealthy, really will do anything to cut corners.
Everyone pinches pennies, though. I mean, that's the big lesson that Clinton's got to understand when he puts together his economic package, that if he puts together something that's going to hit the rich more than the poor, the rich are going to find a way to avoid it. So it's absolutely true that people do
but we voted for Clinton because we wanted some of that. Amy, we know, a lot of us who voted for Clinton, and probably doesn't include yourself, did so because we wanted to change that direction. We didn't want to see this continuing polarization, the rich getting richer and so forth. And I don't like penny pinching when it is between a $500,000 a year woman and a $5 an hour woman.
Yeah,
that doesn't look good at all.
I think the question, though, that what bothers a lot of people is the fact that these are people who didn't bother to find out what their obligations are. And it implies a sense of not feeling obligated. I mean, I think if you employ somebody, you ought to find out what your obligations are under the law. And these people did not do that. And these people, of all people, because they were in the legal profession, should have known.
We're going to take a break. We're still not done, though. Coming up next, caught in the middle, civilians in the crossfire between the United Nations and a Somali warlord. Stay with us.